Hello and happy late Turkey Day. This is your fresh episode of the How Long to Beat podcast. Coming at you are me, Rick, Alex, Paula, and our new podcast mascot. I want to say Molly.
Yeah, it's Molly. I got a doggy. Yeah. But she's sleeping.
She's sleeping, but she's here. She's here in spirit. That's what counts.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit time constrained this week. We're going to get into it. So we're going to talk about what we've played, what we've beaten, what we've retired. We're going to chat about the things we're looking forward to in 2021 gaming. We're going to take a question from the viewers and play, say it with me, How long to beat?
How long to beat?
The game.
We tried.
We'll fix it in post. But first, as it has been Black Friday and it has been another month, we're going to talk about all the things we bought in the past month that haven't got four paws and a tail. So that was your main purchase, Alex. So do you want to start and blast through what you did or didn't get?
Yeah,
this month?
Honestly, I have a dog, so I think my gaming is about to take a serious smack in the face, at least for the next little bit. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, I bought Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, which I talked about. I caved and bought Picross 4 the other day because I was just like, I want to play more after playing the Mario Picross. But I will say,
Spoiler.
I played a little bit of it, but I haven't actually been playing it much. And then, of course, the big stuff that I bought, I got the Xbox Series X, the Elite Controller 2, and Game Pass. So that honestly was my November thing, right? That's the stuff that I've gotten. Really a huge month, I guess, for me gaming wise, but then at the same time, not that much,
Sort of a big gaming month for things to come because you bought all the hardware.
Yeah, it's essentially
you bought a year and a half of Game Pass as well, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I got as a Christmas gift from my folks. They just were like, here's some money to buy Game Pass stuff, and it was on Black Friday. So I guess I did buy the Black Friday because EB Games out here had Game Pass on for $30 for 3 months. So $10 a month for Game Pass, and then getting it as a Christmas gift. Basically, I now have about almost 2 years worth of Game Pass just lined up. So I'm sort of I think I'm done buying video games for the next year. I'm just that's it.
You bought all the games.
Yeah, I bought them all basically. And I'm done. Anyway, that's it for me.
What about you, Paula?
I may have gone a little bit on a shopping rampage for the last couple of days. Just maybe. Because for Black Friday, Nintendo had these I guess Black Friday sale, and I got the Banner Saga 1 and 2 and Okami HD and a Street Cat's Tale, and I pretty much only had to pay for the first 3 because I have a pile of gold points just lying there on my Switch account.
Oh, so it's all paid for it from that. So it's all paid for it from that.
No, just the last one, the Street Cat's Tale. And then on Steam, I finally I was should I? Shouldn't I? So I just kept on changing my card for a week or so. And this morning, I was okay, I'm getting Celeste, the Librarian, and Valhalla.
Valhalla's actually coming to Game Pass this month. That's something I
noticed. Oh, is it?
Yeah, so if people aren't into it, that thing is heading over to the Game Pass.
You should be into it. It's very, very good.
I've heard.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was thinking of getting the first month of Game Pass next week. Oh my god.
Sorry, I think it was only announced today. Well, Control is actually coming to Game Pass. Yeah, so anyway, it's harder and harder to deny.
Wow. It's coming to Game Pass. You won't own it. This is the thing.
Do I really own any games anymore with all these digital games?
Wow.
I know, it's hard. I'm going to sound very probably sad and all depressed throughout this episode because I am very sleep deprived. Puppy life! All right, sorry, keep going, Paula.
On that note, I may be a little bit loopy because I haven't been sleeping much lately. And for everything on everything else, not Black Friday stuff, is Café Enchate, 13 Sentinels, Aegis, and Hyrule's Age of Calamity. And those are my that is my loot for the month.
Nice. So I will touch first quickly on the Black Friday stuff I did. So I had a bit of a Steam splurge. I've ended up with, I think, 12 games and a soundtrack for about £25, which you can't really say fairer than. The only one that was like remotely expensive is South Park: The Stick of Truth, which cost about £6. And then all of the rest, which I'm just going to rattle the names off, cost between like 1 and 3 each. So there's Hive Jump, Valley, Diaries of a Spaceport Janitor, Hylix, Cat Quest, Monster Prom, Reki, and Okami. And that last one is the one that I got the soundtrack with. Not any massive names, but all stuff I've been looking at for a while and waiting for them to hit that sweet spot. So I was very pleased with that haul, all bar one, but you'll hear about that a little bit later in the episode. And then in terms of non-Black Friday stuff I've bought, I also had a bit of a hardware splurge. So I'm navigating the show notes for this episode with my shiny new yellow Cyberpunk mouse, which isn't a purchase I needed to make, but I feel very happy now that I've done it. And another hardware purchase that I bloody didn't really need to make is the red Vita that I've bought. So Vitas are getting harder and harder to buy. And as you guys know, because I was umming and ahhing with you for about a week before I pulled the trigger, there's been a few decent deals on eBay for second-hand 2000 model Vitas from Japan, which may as well be brand new for the condition they come in. They've been kept immaculately. So I bought that. There was a bit of gunk on the stick. I cleaned that off, and then it's beautiful. And then in terms of games, I did also pick a few up. So I got 3 digital purchases on PS4. I got Guacamelee 2, Gun Crazy, and Nex Machina. And then I also bought a copy of Rayman 3 for the Game Boy Advance, complete in box for £4, which was very nice for me. Yeah, and the box is pristine. Again, you wouldn't know that it had ever been opened. It's lovely.
Oh my God.
And literally 24 hours ago, I won a bid for The Mummy on PS2. Not the film Mummy. Did either of you watch like the animated Mummy show with Imhotep?
Oh shit, I think so. Doesn't it kind of have like that animation style of like I don't know, how do I describe it? You know, like the G.I. Joe style where it's like really drawn, you know what I mean? Like that kind of
that kind of animated where it's been drawn like it's been drawn.
Yeah, you know, like what I mean, where it's like it's not great, you know, like you're like it very much has that sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. People who know what I'm talking about, it's like the He-Man era and like all those kind of like those 80s cartoons, like Transformers.
It is He-Man-y. It is that kind of block color, not super detailed.
That's it.
I loved it when I was little though.
Yeah, the block color shit. Yeah. Oh, you know, I loved that stuff too. I watched the Transformers show like religiously. I mean, it was well after it had aired, but I didn't care. I loved it.
But yeah, it's one of those. eBay's been an amazing ground for games that I remember seeing as a child and never experiencing, then not being super popular, not being super expensive, and just being so easy to procure. And the problem is I'll never get around to playing them, but there's something about the thrill of the hunt, I suppose. And I've got it, so you never know. I might pull out the PS2. The PS2 is bouncing around. It's a question of when I pull it out. Probably once I finish the Wii, actually, once I finish Rabbids Go Home. But yeah, speaking of what we're beating, now that we've spoken about all of the games that I've bought to beat in the future, what have we beaten? Paula, why don't you start this time?
I completed Piofiore, Fate and Memories, literally 2 hours before recording.
Wow.
And oh my God, this game, because like as I said last week, it is a visual novel style game. And last week I completed 2 routes and I wasn't like really sure where the story was going. Like because you're told like, okay, you have this city, there's 3 mafia families that control certain parts of the city, and for reasons the protagonist like falls like in the middle of all their conflict.
So good.
As you complete various routes, you start like to unveil the overall plot of the game, and like by the third route, I was like, oh my god, I just got this huge exposition done, and I was like, how can there be like anything else to the story? I was just like on the surface level of the story at that point.
Oh shit.
And I really enjoyed that because like, so then the story says, oh no, wait, but there's this. Oh no, but there's this. And you usually have like on the Okami games, like, or visual novels, sometimes you have like 4 or 5 routes with a love interest, and then you have like one final route that is like the canon route or the true ending of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And you usually stick like, I don't know, with one character. But this game, like, there's like a final route, but it takes like from so many details from the other routes because everything is like intertwined. Like what happens on this side of the story is intertwined with, is related to this, and that is related to that. And I really enjoy that aspect of the game because like not all visual novels do that kind of stuff. Like sometimes they have like a main route and they like branch out from there. But this felt cohesive, and your opinion on the characters and the story and the world changed with each route. And it just blew my mind because like I usually stay consistent, like, okay, this character is, I don't know, this trope. This character is this other trope. And then you change the route and it's like, I don't know anything anymore. So yeah, that's my game for this week. I think it took around 40-something hours to complete every route in the game.
That's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, that's no small feat. Damn. Meanwhile, I'm over here. I beat Tony Hawk this week. Or I guess last week. I mean, when you beat Tony Hawk, it's a little weird, right? Because like in a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game, I'm nowhere near like everything that you can do in it. There's so much more to do, but I sort of consider it beating it when you unlock all of the parks, because that's kind of how it works, right? Like there's 9 parks for each of the games, for 1 and 2. And so essentially you have challenges to do in each of them. And really like to 100% it, you just have to complete all of the challenges in each of the parks and like get gold medals on, because there's like a couple competitions in each. And so I got to the end. I had many of the challenges completed. I was probably in the like 80% for each one of the games. The challenges that I didn't have, I was like, someday maybe I'll go back to it. But I think I was right to say I beat it because Lord knows, like 2 days later I had a puppy, so I'm like, I'm not playing Tony Hawk much anymore. So that's kind of been that. Although, you know, honestly, I'm gonna have more time to game again because like it's just, this is a confluence of bad stuff all at once. Not bad, good stuff, but just like I'm still in school right now. I'm still working like basically full time, and you know it's like exam week and like also a new puppy. So my gaming's been hit a little bit. All that to say, I also beat Mario no Super Picross.
Oh my god!
Because I'm a weeb. Although I'm weird, I'm like, I love Japanese stuff, but also at the same time, I'm just like, meh, give or take a lot of other things, but whatever.
Why do I want to play 13 Sentinels? It looks like an anime.
I know, it's so funny though, right? Like I'm just like, I've learned the language and stuff, and I'm like, it's cool and all that, and I'm like, oh, I love Japanese, but then at the same time, I'm just like, meh. Which he has just repeated twice now. Get ready for a whole bunch of that this episode, folks.
Have fun editing, Paula.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no.
But yeah, I beat Picross, and look, it's friggin' Picross, right? Like I don't even know what to say. It was great fun. The puzzles, I will admit, like because I beat the bonus round too, because there's like I think there's 10 levels in a bonus. There's also some Wario ones, but I'm not sure how to get to them yet because Anyway, I don't know. It was all in Japanese, and I didn't read it when it came up. I was just like skip, and then suddenly I saw Wario pop up, and I went, uh-oh, probably should have read what was happening. But anyway, the time limit in that game, it's like 30 minutes from the get-go, and like when you make a mistake, you lose time, and if you repeatedly make them, you lose quite a bit of time. Like you can lose up to like 6-8 minutes in one go. And so honestly, when you get into these really huge puzzles where it's like 20 by like 20, and you just make that one wrong move, and then it like fails you in a game over, and you're just like, I spent so long on that puzzle. So anyway, it's a good game, but yeah, I went back to playing Picross 4 and I went, yeah, this is like the real good shit. But for a game that was made for the Super Nintendo, pretty darn good and impressive. Honestly, it's probably better to play now than it was to play it back in the day, because I cannot imagine.
What makes you say that?
Who in their right mind plays Picross on a TV? That's my thing.
Well, that's fair.
Right? It's like playing Sudoku on the TV. That makes no sense. You know what I mean? I mean, at the time, it was all you could do, right? So it totally makes sense. But yeah, it just makes sense as a game in your hand while you're doing something else, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Take it away, Rick.
Take it away. So I've only beaten one game this week, which is Super Meat Boy, and I think I actually beat it the morning after we recorded last week. So it's been a bit of a dry patch for me gaming wise as well. I've got a few things that are close, but nothing that's quite over the line, which I will talk about when we get to what we're playing. So Super Meat Boy is really, really good. Everyone's known that for a decade because most people played it well before I got around to it. But it is a good kind of punishing, because the levels are so bite-sized. They can get away with being absolutely vile to you, the player, but in a way that always feels fair and beatable and outside of a few things achievable. Now, I should put that in some context. I didn't fuck with any of the bonus stuff. I got A+, like time grades on like 3/4 of the levels, but I only picked up a few bandages. I didn't bother with any of the warped worlds. I didn't play any of the dark level variations. So for anyone who hasn't played, every level, once you beat it with an A+ time, has a quote-unquote dark world variant, which I believe is more challenging. Again, I don't know because I didn't fuck with any of them. But I did, post-story, play the final sort of bonus world where you play as Bandage Girl, and that was fucking brutal. Like, they throw everything at you there. But it's one of those things where you always feel incredible when you finally nail the perfect run. And I also often found weirdly that the run where I messed something up slightly but not catastrophically early on was the one where I just nailed everything harder after it and managed to get to the end. But yeah, it's amazing. It's perfectly suited to the Vita. But I'm sure I would have had fun if I played with it on PC as well. And we've just missed the sales, but it will be super cheap again in the winter sale. So if it sounds good, give it a few weeks, pick it up with your Christmas money. That's all I've played, but I will stick on because I know I'm the only person that retired anything this week.
Yeah, you might as well just tell us.
Yeah, so I retired a game called Hatred, which those with slightly longer memories will remember had some controversy back in, 2013, 2014? A few years back anyway. It was the game with the black and white trailer of just the guy picking up an AR and ammunition and grenades and talking about how much he hates the world and nobody loves him and everything has to burn. It was like a 12-year-old edgelord's wet dream. The problem is the game never quite lives up to what it could have been. It's interesting coming off the back of Mad World, because those of you who listened last week and the week before, and you two bloody recorded it with me, I don't know why I'm saying it like that, will remember one of the things I praised about that game was how they nailed black and white, because it's a bold choice and it can go really well or really badly. And unfortunately for Hatred, it goes really badly. It's basically, or at least the impression I got as someone who has no development knowledge, is it was made normally and then just a monochrome filter put over the top. And the problem with that is it doesn't allow for visibility in a lot of different minor ways that add up to a really frustrating experience. Above that, the gameplay, like the mechanics, are okay. The level design and the mission design is just really thin, because what you basically have to do is hit a number of points of interest, so like a supermarket and a diner and like a housing estate, and you have to kill the people in those places. They don't pose any kind of threat whatsoever. The only threat that's posed is the police, who come in increasingly heavy waves and start firing at you from off screen before you can do anything about them. And the only way you can get health back is by performing finishing moves. Interestingly, it sort of did glory kills a few years before Doom 2016 did. Thinking about it, yeah, but the problem is it's far too easy to take damage without being able to do anything about it. Like, you can see the police on the minimap before you can see them on screen, but you can't really aim based off the minimap, and they're the only engaging part of the gameplay. It's not in any way interesting, to ignoring the sort of gruesome violence or real world aspect of it. There's nothing mechanically satisfying about gunning down defenseless civilians.
No, yeah, that actually makes me wonder when glory kills. Like, I wonder where that concept first kind of came about. I'd be curious.
I suspect it's parallel thinking. I don't know that someone at Bethesda was a hatred fanatic and thought, "Fuck, we should do this in our FPS."
Oh yeah, no.
I don't buy that was the thing that happened. But yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, I'd just be curious to, like, I always love learning about, like, kind of like the potential, like, you know, origins of things. Like, obviously, you know, ideas are such a, like, boiling pot of, like, sources and all that, but I always find it neat when you see games they were like doing things kind of similar, because it's like, it's almost like you get that feeling where you're like, something was in the air at that point, you know, like everyone's starting to think about like, how do we start playing things like that. So I don't know, I just find it neat. But yeah, I highly doubt someone was like, that will be the good thing for us.
But before we move on, that was sort of the same thinking I had even picking it up. So I've had it in my wish list for a couple of years now, just waiting for it to be cheap enough to be worth having a go. Almost like an evolutionary what could have been branch sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was saying. Yeah.
So I ended up refunding it. I think I played 15 minutes and just decided very early on that it wasn't for me, and I didn't really want to keep it in my library. So I got rid, and my refund's been processed. So that's all hunky-dory. Nice. Right then. So in terms of what we've been playing, Alex, this time, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, why don't I talk a little bit about the stuff that I have been playing. So,
buying.
Yeah, I was buying time to check them. So I've been playing Game Pass stuff mostly. I started this game called Lonely Mountain Downhill. It's a Game Pass biking game where you're biking downhill. I mean, surprise. It's kind of polygonal styled. It really reminds me of a short hike a lot. Gameplay is completely different, but the vibe is similar, you know? Like, it's very, I don't know, it's relaxed, but also quite intense at the same time. So like you go down a series of different trails, and you kind of control the way that your bike like moves from side to side. There are different control options, but you can, you know, accelerate, kind of brake a little to sort of drift around corners, and speed up to go over like larger gaps and things. And you basically, there are a series of checkpoints, and when you first go onto a mountain, you just get to explore, and you just get to go around and like sort of see where the trails are. There are, you know, secret ways you can go around and stuff like that. And then you're introduced to a series of challenges that come afterwards, and the challenges would be like, get down in this amount of time, or get down in only this amount of crashes, right? Because when you crash, it'll like auto reload you to the checkpoint, which it's really, really fast. Like, it's almost like, it's kind of weird. It's almost like those, like, you know, like Katana Zero and stuff, where it's like one hit kill thing, but it's like you die in one hit. Yeah, but you're just biking, and like it's really quiet and serene and beautiful, and it's just a good experience. Like, I highly recommend it to people, because it's something I wouldn't expect. But I was actually the YouTuber there, Metal Jesus Rocks, I think. I just like watching him sometimes, and he did a thing on some random Game Pass games, and he highlighted this one, and I was like, well, why don't I try it out? And I was like, damn, he is right. This is a great game. So I recommend it. I'm also, I don't even know why I put this. So the other two that I'm playing in big quotation marks, because I don't even think I've touched them since I last talked about them, is Mirror's Edge, Catalyst, and Hades. I think I put them there to be like optimistic. Like, I'm like, I'm playing these. I haven't retired them or anything, because I enjoy them both, and I do intend on playing them more. It's just, like I said, I haven't been playing much this week. So that's it for me now. But yeah, that's me. Paula, why don't you go ahead?
Well, since I literally just finished Piofiore, the only other game that I've been like playing consistently is Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. That I actually finished the main story, and I'm currently doing post-game content. And not gonna lie, I enjoyed the game a lot more than I thought I would, and I already had like high expectations based like on the gameplay. But watching like the story cutscenes and stuff was like an extra treat for completing each mission. And I'm happy because like you are not able like to unlock all the characters only with the main story. There are some that you have to go out of your way to get, and there are some that you can only access like in main story plus. They're the ones I'm hunting right now. And this is like playing like quote unquote playing again, like Alex said, being optimistic. Like I'm gonna start playing Café and 10x. Hopefully 13 Sentinels once I'm back on my place.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't make a joke because I know you haven't got your PS4 with you. Otherwise, I would have been all over that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go back to Mario no Super Picross. And that's pretty much what I'm doing here.
Man, I can feel myself being baited by both of you, and I don't.
Baited? No.
Like, yeah.
You would never. You're better than that. Right. Okay. So, is that all of yours, so Paula?
Oh yeah, take it away.
Winner. Okay, so I've got 4 that I'm playing. 2 I don't really have anything new to say about. Those are Rabbids and Go Home, which I talked about last week, and Fez, which I've literally just started. So it's a platformer. You jump. I can't really say much more than that yet. And then the other 2 are Bravely Default. I've decided I'm going to do what I thought I was going to do, which is sort of rush by the seat of my pants to get the non-true ending. As in get to chapter 6, get the final asterisk, and then do that, and then see how I feel. I might even, because having sort of put it down for a couple of weeks and then picked it back up again, I sort of remembered how much I enjoy the combat. I suppose how I feel about it is kind of similar to how you felt about Spirit Tracks, Alex, in that if it had finished at what for me was about the 48-hour mark, which is mild spoiler, the Ultimus Dim fight, or at least the first one, that would be a Stonewall 10 out of 10. That was the perfect length for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's still probably going to be an 8 or a 9 just on the strength of the combat and the job system. But we'll see. I'll see how I feel once I get the non-true ending. Whether I even want to do the true ending, I probably will see. The other one is Blasphemous, which has finally sunk its claws in. So the interesting thing is sort of thinking about it, about the past sort of 2 hours I've played. It took me half an hour to sort of take on board that it isn't a Metroidvania. And once I stopped judging it by those parameters, that's when it started to click in for me. I think the main thing, especially because I've played loads of more the Egavania style thing, where it's a bit of a collectathon in one shade or another. It's much more mobile. There's an emphasis on moving in and out of your enemy's range, zoning and dodging back in and attacking. Blasphemous has much more of an expectation that you will parry counter, sort of thing. And there's quite a few battles where you're actively discouraged from trying to dodge because you will get hit. The hitbox for the attack is just too big. A couple of bosses where I found that as well. But once you treat it as its own game, it is a lot of fun. Apart from the visuals and the world design, which are amazing. I think that's clear even from screenshots. And the music's interesting in that I'm a sucker for a great soundtrack like the kind that you can put on and listen to independently. It's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to getting around to Hades. This has a slightly different approach in that the soundtrack is very understated, but it sort of lifts everything up around it. It doesn't take much of your attention while fitting perfectly with the pixel art and the world around you. It's just sort of a mood setter, I suppose I'd say. But beyond that, I think... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, yeah, I think that's the right way to describe it. Like, that game in general, its aesthetic is mood setting, you know? Like...
Yeah.
And that speaks to the whole thing. I think it's a case of accepting that it's not like other things I've played, like other things I expected going in, which is as much on other people and how they've talked about it as it is on me. That's my decision. I'm going to stick by it. But I like that it's punishing in the right ways. So combat can flip on a dime against you if you get something wrong. I'm thinking specifically the early game sort of papal demons in a floating chair, where if you get caught with the ground enemy, they will start spiking down on you, and you can get mashed in a couple of seconds flat. But the penalties for dying are remarkably minor, so long as you get back to your spirit thing quickly. It just delays how much gold you can get massively and how much quote unquote MP you can pick up until you recover the thing, or you find there's like special rooms where you can remove your guilt that do it as well, aren't there? But you don't.
Which I never understood why you even would ever use those rooms, because like I guess if it was really hard to get your soul back, but like it doesn't really like you don't really lose much when you lose the soul, you know? Like I don't know. That was my one thing that I was like, I was glad, and also like, this is interesting. I don't know why. Did they like test and they were like, sucks when you lose everything? You know what I mean? Like that's what I sort of wondered with the game. Not knocking it. I found it to be an interesting choice, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose they are a little bit superfluous. I suspect it's also a case of if you bang your head against one route's wall too much and decide you want to go another way, it gives you the option of doing that without having to brute force your soul back, only to turn back and go the other way, kind of thing. That's just me spitballing there. But outside of, like you say, those things, the penalty is remarkably minor. You don't lose any gold, you don't lose any items, and it's very quick to get you straight back in. And I found that really liberating in approaching that combat, especially because with the way they've set it up, there's a lot of an expectation on you to play around with the timing for parries and sort of understand the move sets. And because it's not built for mobility, the dodge and sort of watch strategy that you could use with Castlevanias and specifically sort of the handheld Egavanias doesn't really work. So it's nice that they've thought of other things alongside that different system that they've set up. The one negative so far, and I'm not sure if it's a game thing or if I'm maybe starting to get drift on my DualShock, I found quite a few problems with direction facing with the character.
No,
but
dude,
I think
is
you've said
a problem in that game.
I thought you might say that, and that's what's making me wonder. But I have died at least twice so far because I've been trying to face one way and not able to make it work. The slide's been fine for me so far. It's just aiming my attacks that I've struggled with.
I've tested this.
I've
tested this because I was playing on my Switch Lite, which has no drift issues whatsoever. And then I also tried it out with my Pro controller just to see, and I was like, nah, it's this game. It's just real slow on the flip around with the character.
Yeah, but it's. I wouldn't want to highlight it too much. It's only highlighted in the sense that it's the only real problem I've had so far. On the whole, it's been fantastic for me, and I've really, like I say, it's really sunk its claws in. And I'm busy this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's finished in time for next recording.
Nice. Yeah,
so
that'd be my only warning to people. Is like if you start it, just know that you will die 2 or 3 times because of that issue, but you're not alone.
and on the flip side, you're very quick back in, and it doesn't really punish you too much. So I take a very sort of no harm, no foul approach to that kind of thing. You don't even lose much progress. There's quite a lot of save points going.
Unless you just crossed a giant spike chasm puzzle and you accidentally slide into the spikes. That happened to me, and I was like, I almost cried. I just like put down. I was like, yeah, press F in the chat, please. I just like put my game down, and I went, God damn it.
I had one of those in Meat Boys. The last bonus level, so it's like level 720, is this giant tower full of loads of rotating saw blades. And bearing in mind, most levels take sort of 10 to 15 seconds to beat if you're fast. The A plus time is 45 seconds. Realistically, I mean, I just got it within that, but realistically, you're looking at closer to a minute. And it's one hit death, and those blades are fucking brutal. And especially when you get near the top, there's these very narrow platforms with stationary blades, and you have to wait until the very last second to jump, otherwise you don't make it. And you have to make about 10 of those on the hop to beat the level. And the amount of times I fell at blade 5 or 6, and it's exactly what you said, just like, okay, let's take a second sort of thing. But that makes it so much better when you beat it. This is the trade-off. So yeah, that's all the things I've been playing. This year, why don't we talk about what we're hoping to be playing next year? And I'll get right out of the gate and make the obligatory Cyberpunk because it's going to get delayed again joke. I hope it won't, but we'll see. So what we said we'd do in the show notes is we'd all pick 3 games that we're really, really looking forward to next year, that are slated to come out next year. Let me swing one out first, just because I think Paula's probably going to have the same one. Shin Megami Tensei 5?
Shin Megami Tensei 5. Also, like, I was going through like a list of games scheduled for next year, and I was like,
wow, you got a big old list. I only ended up finding 6 games that I was like, yeah, I definitely got to play these. But look at you. All right, go to town.
I've got 5. I'm with you. We've probably got less combined than Paula's got.
Yeah.
The irony of this segment is I'm actually quite looking forward to not having many games coming up next year. Yeah. I'm thinking it could be a really good backlog year. But maybe just for us, we'll see. Go on,
3 quote-unquote big ones that I'm interested in. Wishful Thinking. And 3 that were like announced today for localization on the West.
Gotcha. So Shin Megami Tensei 5, though, that's like both on your radar, I'm guessing, huh?
When that comes out, that's when I buy a Switch, basically.
Nice. Are you going to play the... Because aren't they re-releasing the first one in like a remaster or something on the Switch?
The third one.
Nocturne.
Yeah, the re-release Nocturne.
Nocturne. Yeah. Nice. Honestly, I had like a bit of a hard time coming up with games for this segment because like there's a lot coming out that I'm interested in. Some that are just like remasters and stuff. But one that I actually like, as I looked deeper, I was like, yo, I cannot wait to play Psychonauts 2. Like, I'm extremely excited for that game. I played Psychonauts last year, and then I also played In the Rhombus of Ruin, the VR one, which is super fun, actually. Like, it was really, really fun. And I don't know, like, Psychonauts holds up so well. It's in that era of, you know, it's probably nostalgia talking a little bit, but I really loved those kind of 3D platformers that, like, they're not really the collectathons of like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong and shit, but like, you know, they're in that like border area of like the GameCube era, original Xbox era, and like they all had their own unique art styles and, you know, kind of sometimes
popcorn platformers.
What?
They weren't too heavy. Popcorn platformers. They weren't too heavy. They were just really nice rides. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I mean, Psychonauts can be a little tough sometimes, but it is like that, you know, like overall it's just a fun time, and like I kind of miss those, you know. So anyway, that's for me. And is anyone else interested in that one?
Didn't even know it was coming out. I haven't played the first yet, so
I didn't know either.
Oh, that didn't make the list. That didn't make the list.
That didn't make the list.
Well, you two should totally play the original Psychonauts because it is very fun. I promise.
I think I own it. Let me see. I'm pretty sure it was in a Humble Bundle way back in the day.
I'll probably add it to the wish list or something.
Yeah, I own it.
Yeah, that everyone owns Psychonauts almost at this point. Like, it's been on sale so many times, and like anyway, it's just like it's one of those games where if you don't own it, you can get it pretty cheap, and or you know you could go sail the 7 seas and get it for free. But I would recommend supporting Double Fine. Hey, I pay for it. Don't worry, I love Double Fine. Anyway, sorry. Who else? Discuss your games.
I'm going to throw another one out, which I think one or both of you will have said. Deathloop.
Oh. See, that one is on my list, but not on the one that I'm going to say now because I will probably be waiting until its exclusivity is up. So that might actually be a year after game for me. Yeah.
Of course, because you're Team Green. Yeah.
For now.
To be fair, I won't be playing it next year because I'll probably wait until I get PS5 Slim and pick it up with that. But it's a game I'm excited about that's coming out next year. Like that.
That's Arcane Studios, right?
It is indeed, and they've, from a shooter perspective, got great pedigree as far as I'm concerned, as far as you're concerned as well with Prey, which we're both on the record as thinking is a pretty good game.
Just pretty good.
It's going to be interesting. One, because it's got that sort of Majora's Mask style, do it again and work out what's going on with everyone's routine structure, which I don't always like in execution, but I'm always interested in concept. but also, and this won't necessarily apply to you, from a Team Blue perspective, which ultimately I think I'm going to be, there's the adaptive trigger thing, where they're talking about really utilizing that in terms of the gunplay and some of the other stuff. And I'm quite looking forward to seeing how that's received. I don't know if I'll necessarily be all about it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that new functionality.
I would love
has
if
that made.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say I would love if that became a thing. Like the adaptive trigger seems like a cool idea. It's just like I feel like it's gonna go the way of HD Rumble, where it's just like people are just kind of like okay, and they don't really do much with it. But I don't know if it does stick around and like developers, like third-party developers too, really jump in on it. I'll be like, nice. But I think it'll be a little bit like how Last of Us always utilizes the DualShock in like all these crazy awesome ways. I think we might end up seeing that, but that's a conversation for a whole other day.
Yes, yeah, it is. For bottom line, just quickly while we're on it though, I suspect because HD Rumble, Nintendo had you counting balls in 1-2 Switch, and that was the only time it was ever used.
Yeah.
I think they've talked about more HD Rumble now since the PS5's been out than they have HD Rumble in the entirety of the Switch's life.
And
if anything, that
oh, sorry, Paula, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, that at least all or most of the main Nintendo games use HD Rumble in one way or another. And for example, I really like how it is used on Breath of the Wild because of the cues that it gives you. Like, for example, if you pass by a pile of rocks, you don't even have to look to know that it is a Santalos that is slowly rising behind you because you feel it in the controller and stuff like that.
Okay. But that's the thing. If everyone has that tech, maybe that does get useful.
But then you also have the issue of the Switch Lite doesn't have Rumble. So
that is true.
Not.
It doesn't. None at all.
No, it doesn't.
It actually made me... It was the reason why I played Luigi's Mansion 3 on my TV with a Pro Controller, because I knew that Rumble was actually kind of important in that game, because, it's how you find friggin' ghosts. So I was like, how do you even play this damn game on the Switch Lite? I mean, theoretically, you don't actually need it for that, but, it honestly gives you a lot of important cues. So, anyway.
It's like the 3DS and the 2DS. It's just heartbreaking. For me, anyway, I know most people didn't care. I will be a 3D advocate until I die. The last game on my main list, I'll just throw it out there. This may well just be a just me one. Is East 9 Monstrum Nox.
What? Bless you.
That deadly science says yes. It is just me.
Monstrum Nox. Yeah.
Is that on your
the
list,
ninth game.
Paula?
It's it's not in the top 3. It is in the huge list.
It's around there.
Leave it to you two. Sorry, Rick, tell us all about it.
Oh, that's all right. So it's the 9th game in the East franchise. It continues the recent trend of 3D sort of hack and slashy action, but for the first time, you've got full verticality, and there's different sort of maneuvers for travel. So one of the characters has got a grappling hook, one of the characters has got a glide, one of the characters can run up walls. So they've gone nutty with it this time. I think it's already out in Japan. It has been for a little while. It comes west in February.
Okay, sorry. I just want to clarify now for everyone listening. I had no idea what you said at first, but now I'm realizing it's the YS game. Whenever I hear East out loud, I'm always like, huh, what? But okay, I do know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Why?
I actually was wondering why some people call it East, and then I was like, wait a second, this has to have a title in katakana or something, and yeah, it is East.
It is East.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
I remember reading the interview with Falcom, and they were like, it's pronounced this way. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, that was it.
Fair enough. Those are my main 3. Paula, I think you said...
Yeah, Paula, go ahead. Sorry. Oh my gosh, we're all over each other this week.
It is what it is.
It is chaos this week. Speaking of chaos, Team Tensei 5 is on my list.
I mean, gee, what game is that?
Tensei. Do I need to say anything else? And then the one game that really caught my eye during the PS5 presentation that is actually coming to PC, it is hopefully I am not butchering any of these titles, but it is Kena Bridge of Spirits. But it has this. It is very pretty, and it has like this. I want to say like Zelda-esque feel, but also has like that magic that you can find like in Studio Ghibli's movies, like those little spirits that follow the protagonist around. They remind me of the Sooth spirits, and I'm like, I think it has like an emphasis on exploration and puzzle solving, so right up my alley. To boot, it looks beautiful. Like I want to play that on my PC, max settings on everything, and just get lost in the world.
That's the one with like ex-Pixar animators, isn't it? I feel like that was because the visuals were the big draw when they were talking about it in the summer. And I think it is ex-Pixar animators that are involved in it. But it does look very pretty.
I mean, it would make sense to me because it feels like a movie made into a game. With the models.
I'm gonna ask Google what you tell us about your other picks.
And the other, this is like an if it turns out that it comes out in 2021, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, that will take all my time. I'm gonna disappear from the face of the earth, and hopefully you find me like alive each week on the podcast. But if not, the other game that caught my eye and was announced by Automate or Automate, that is like the company that puts out like these visual novels. It's oh my god, it's a dark fantasy otome game called Suito no Trusu Error Salvation, and I'm just gonna call it Error Salvation from now on because I am not pronouncing the other part of the game.
Fair.
And as I say, it's like dark fantasy, and it seems that it will have like more of an emphasis like on the world, and well, the story is not like any surprise because visual novel, but the tone of the game is very different from the other otome games that I've seen that tend to be like more colorful, or sometimes they are like deceiving, like very bright but have like dark undertones and stuff. But this one looks interesting. There's supposed to be like more information like on December 5th, but the game actually just saw me from the trailer alone. And yeah, those are like my main three, and well, Nocturne. Shin 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. I need to play that.
That's fair. It's hard to keep it to 3, right? I'm like, yeah, okay. So I mentioned Psychonauts 2. I'm looking at this list here, and I'm just trying to like pick the ones that I'm like definitely. I mean, let's be honest here. This should come as like zero surprise, but like Resident Evil 8 Village is like obviously on my list of like, I can't wait. Werewolves and shit, awesome. Like if it has the same sort of intensity as 7, but like more of kind of an open area to explore, I'm gonna be like very happy. Plus it looks like they're starting to add in like a little bit more of the like Resident Evil nutsness to it, which like I love it. Like Resident Evil is so unbelievably stupid in the best ways possible, and I mean that as like the highest compliment. Like they own it. They're just like, yeah, this is like a dumbass C movie, and they're like, have fun. And it's just like I don't know, I just love that. And I know like for a lot of people they went like too far in that because they went like way too action oriented in like 5 and 6, which I haven't played yet, but I'm gonna give them their fair shot. But I don't know, 7 was just a return to form, so like I'm excited to see what they do with 8. Are either of you going to try that out when it hits?
Probably not.
Probably not. I'm not good with zombie or horror games.
I'm the horror man
in general.
That's fair. I'm just going to be playing all these random games. I mean, I guess that's good. At least I'll be playing some different games, right? Like, hey. So I have actually, it's funny because I have two like. So Game Pass is probably where I'm going to be spending most of my time, which is why I like Psychonauts. It's a Game Pass game. I've also been looking at these two games that are coming out next year called The Medium, and then there's also Scorn. And they're both these like these games that are coming to Game Pass, and they're both in the horror genre, and I'm curious about them. I don't particularly think they're going to be like groundbreaking games, but they look interesting. Scorn in particular has like that oh no, the guy who worked on Aliens, who did the concept art, Geiger, I think, or something Geiger.
Sorry,
it's like a sci-fi writer, I think. I can't. Yeah, everyone's just
the name Kurt Geiger rings a bell. I don't know if that's the guy.
I don't think so. I could just be. Oh, H.R. Geiger. I think that's it. He's an artist. Yeah. That's it. H.R. Geiger. So he won an Academy Award for visual design for Alien.
For the practical effect.
Yeah.
Right.
So like he designed the Alien and like all of that work and like all of that look. And so like Scorn really plays on that. Like it has that dark color with all those weird, like sort of almost looks ancient but not lines and stuff, and like the gross sort of like living organism-ness of like the world. Anyway, it looks really cool. So that's kind of up there. And like I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna be playing the shit out of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Like I don't even care. I'm like, oh, I could play it on my nice new Xbox. You betcha. I was gonna play the old games again, but if they nail this, if it's
big if
isn't, then again, it's a big if. It really is. But if so, from my I don't have a lot of inside sources, but I do have an inside source with BioWare because I happen to live in the city that they're in.
Of course.
It's nothing intense. Like, let me put it this way. I don't have like someone who's telling me like, here's the new game they're putting out, but just someone who can sort of talk about like the vibe in that area. And like the vibe had been pretty bad, obviously, as most people know, for a while, especially around the Anthem release. But it sounds to me like they're kind of like there's been some shifts going on, and I think there's some course correcting happening. So I'm feeling optimistic about the release of this, and if it ends up being more than just like a here's the nice new textures on the faces, and like instead they incorporate some slight gameplay tweaks. Like I love Mass Effect 1. I don't think it needs to change, but I also recognize that I am in the minority, and that if it were just updated a little bit, tweaked a little bit here and there, some quality of life stuff put in, I think more and more people would just fall in love with that franchise. And so I'm just like, please do it right, because I want to play it a lot.
Oh my god, the franchise sold out. Alex is an EA shill.
I don't even care. I'm like, please.
Listen, this audio equipment doesn't come for free, guys. This is how it happens.
But you know, I'll be cautiously optimistic. I don't know. I want it to do well. There's other little honorable mention games out there. Like obviously, I'll play Halo Infinite. I mean, come on, I'm on the Xbox now. Fuck it, might as well try it, right? But I'm not like, oh, I gotta play Halo. I'm just like, this should be fun.
I've got two honorable mentions while we're doing them that I just want to quickly throw out.
Yeah,
the first one is, do any of you remember a game called 12 Minutes?
Oh, yes.
It's like,
it
with
rings
Willem
a bell.
Dafoe and Daisy Ridley. It's the one where they're, for anyone who doesn't remember that from the presentations and various things, it's another one where you're like playing the same period of time over and over again, trying to work out what happened. It's from Annapurna. It's very narratively focused. And they very recently announced that they'd secured the voice talents of Willem Dafoe, Daisy Ridley, and I believe they got... What's his name?
Wasn't it Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
No, Irish guy, looks a little bit like him, was in Split.
No.
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy. Shit. My brain was like reeling.
One of my favourite actors going. So I'm cautiously optimistic that will turn out really, really good. And if it doesn't, at least the audio design is going to be great. Sorry, go on.
So I was just saying James McAvoy, the Scottish Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like, you think that like they're basically each other.
I mean, they look very similar. I don't think Gordon-Levitt's got his range even remotely.
Oh, not even close.
No one's got his range like at all. And then the other one, if I can find where I've put it on my show notes, you'd think I'd remember it if it was my honourable mention. There it is. Chris Tales, which is, I was going to say, I thought you might perk up. The devs Chilean, aren't they? Or Venezuelan?
They are.
They are Chilean. And it's...
I'm asking you because I don't know.
It's somewhere in Central America they're from, I believe. They've only just delayed it, so it was due to come out right in the middle of Valhalla and Cyberpunk and all the other big tent poles. But they've delayed it to early 2021, I believe, partly because of world events. But it looks amazing. So it's like a turn-based RPG with somewhere between like Paper Mario and Child of Light. It looks a bit Ubi arty, but also a bit papercrafty. But this really cool like animated style. And its unique mechanic is on screen at any one time. The screen's split by two diagonal lines that form like a triangle, with the fat side down in the center of the screen, and then like a smaller triangle on each side of the screen. And on the left triangle, you've got the world as it was in the past, and on the right, you've got the world as it's going to be in the future. So there's like this Chrono Trigger style, time altering sort of past changes the future type thing going on with it, and it looks phenomenal. I played a little bit of the demo, which I really enjoyed as well. So I've got quite high hopes for that when it pops out.
Nice.
So that's everything I've got. Sorry, I feel like I maybe cut you off mid your audible mentions, Alex.
Oh, not really. Honestly,
That's football coming out. Don't worry about it.
I'm like, I was like, pretty much. I was like, oh, that was it.
Yeah. Do you want to throw us a few select morsels from the list, Paula, before we move on?
Oh, I guess. Sorry, I will give one more. I'm like, yeah. Sorry, Paula.
Oh my God, make your mind. No.
I am making my mind up.
Go
I was
ahead,
looking
Alex.
something up. Yeah. So this one, like, I don't even actually know. Like, I'm like, maybe I'm gonna go for it, but it has some like complicated feelings towards it. So like, it's the Hogwarts Legacy game that's coming out.
Another one.
Yeah, everyone knows. And like, it looks really cool, and like, it might be really fun. I still don't know how I feel though, because I'm just like, Chicken Round's been going real. Oh boy, little turfy these days, and like really doubling down on it. And like, listen, I'm actually not someone who like, I don't believe in like canceling per se. Like, I think there's ways of holding individuals accountable and like working towards reparative justice, but this is a whole other conversation. But I just, at the same time, it's just like, I'm like, I still don't know the ethics right now of like supporting something like that. Like, does her views outweigh the people who work on that game? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where I go like, I don't know how to feel.
Yeah,
so.
It's very individual. I think I'm a firm believer in death of the author, and whatever you think of what she has or hadn't said, that shouldn't necessarily detract from your enjoyment of the media. Equally, I'm not massively fussed about Harry Potter, so it's very much an academic thing for me. Like, if the game comes out and it's amazing, I'll play the game. If it's like an 8 or below, based on like people that I trust that are playing it, I'll probably skip it.
That's the thing. I grew up with Harry Potter like so intensely, so it's like it's a complicated feeling. But basically, I don't know right now. I just don't know. What about you, Paula?
Okay, for my honorable mentions, I have quite a bit. It happened to me that a lot of the games that I'm interested for next year are either like sequels or in a series that have been like, that my friends just keep saying, hey, you're gonna like this, play this. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get around to it eventually. But
After I played 13 Sentinels, you forgot to put at the end of that.
That's gonna take a while.
Long sigh.
Okay, jokes aside, like some of the games that I have written down are like the sequel to The World Ends With You. I think it's Neo. The World Ends With
How
You.
did I forget that? Yes.
Is Monster Nox is also there. Room Factory 5, because I have to try it at some point. The Legend of Heroes, Jerusalem Seal 4, Disgaea 6. Anonymous Code, that is like in the science adventure bubble, that is Steins Gate, Chaos Style, and Robotic Notes. And then Nier Replicant, the version some number.
Yeah.
Because I have this friend that is like play Nier Replicant, play Drakengard, play Nier Replicant. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is the chance, because like I'm never on like an Xbox system, and the Nier game that he was telling me to play, I think, is not on the PC. I think I may be wrong, but
I think it's PC and PS3 and 360. So I think you're right.
Horizon Forbidden West, Crystals, Braid Anniversary Edition, Demon Survive, and Final Fantasy 16. And the ones that got announced to have a...
That's definitely not coming out next year.
Yep. And there's like 3 visual novels that got localization confirmed by Axis Games like a couple of hours ago. And I've been like keeping an eye on them. I was like thinking of importing them from Japan, but well, no, why? Why would I do that? And they are like, I'm gonna butcher this. Dairogu Ayakashimori, Olympia Soire, Variable Barricade, or Bari, how it is called in Japan. There's a lot.
You got a big year next year.
To be fair, I'm probably like end up picking up like half of these as more, either as more games get announced that I'm more interested in, or I'm gonna pick up the ones like I'm more into. That is pretty much what happened this year.
Yeah. Hot take. I retired The World Ends With You. I like that game. So we could talk about it again in the future if you want. It's a good game, but I don't know what happened.
Question.
It just trailed
You
off.
tried
For this episode of the How Long to Beat podcast.
I played it on the DS, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like,
I didn't play it on the God Forbidden Switch. Yeah, well, it's not that it's bad. I don't know why. It just kind of tapered off for me. Like it again, it wasn't really because of anything in the game, right? Like it wasn't like I was like, oh, this is bad. I was like, this is actually really neat. This is cool. And I was just kind of like, I think I'm good. I don't think it'll be retired forever. I'll put it that way, though. I do think I will go back to it at some point. But I think it just was like, there was a moment there I was like, nah, I'm good. This game coming out might actually be the thing that makes me go back. If this game is really good, I'll probably finish the first one. Although this is a prequel, isn't it, Neo?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure where it would fit. I don't know that they've given any. But to be fair, it's years and years since I've played The World Ends With You. I'm actually thinking of doing a replay next year.
I haven't played it.
Playing it at the same time.
Oh, you haven't played The World Ends With You?
No, I haven't played it. I have the copy of the game. I haven't played it.
Yeah,
as many other things.
It has a
my
small,
friends recommend to me.
very intense fan base, and I think they're fans of it for a good reason. But it might not be for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All I'm hearing is How Long to Beat New Year's resolution stroke like
It's like
shared game.
beat.
I know.
Yeah.
Should we move along to
We
our
can go
question?
through it together. That'd be great. Yes.
All right. This week we have a question from Cave Explorer, who wrote in to our email address, which is hltbpodcast@gmail.com, which you can do as well. Send us in a question anytime you want. And you can leave your forum name too if you'd like. And so they ask, what is your favorite mainstream, besides Fire Emblem, because we talked about that a lot, Nintendo 3DS game released by Nintendo? Not like Persona, but something like Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, or any large-scale game. So I think they're really kind of asking, like out of the big releases, what was like your favorite? What do we think? This one was actually hard for me. I was like, I'm not sure.
I think it's like, is it like from the first party stuff?
Basically, I mean, yeah, I don't know if something like Pokemon counts. I mean, they're not first party, but like they're first party.
It's gotta count, surely. Yeah.
Right. Who wants to start?
I'll jump in. I haven't really got lots to say. I haven't played a lot of the big tentpole games. So like you've both raved about A Link Between Worlds. I still haven't played it yet. There's loads of good first party games I haven't played yet. The obvious choice, I think it was a HAL Lab game that Nintendo published, is the Box Boy series. I've spoken a lot about that in the past couple of weeks, so I won't go over it again. The other one, if that doesn't count, is Super Mario 3D Land, which is just a really great bite-sized Mario game, and one that I had a really, really good time with. Blasted out over the course of a week, and I think will still hold up. That's all I've got to say. I've not. All my playthroughs are third party.
As I went through my list of completed games on How Long to Beat, for the 3DS especially, I really noticed how I usually play like more third-party games than first-party games from Nintendo. Like the only 2 years that I guess Intelligent System was it by Nintendo?
Yeah, first party.
The first party. But like besides Fire Emblem, the other first party games that I played are like Zelda or Pokemon, and if I have to choose, I will say A Link Between Worlds, and since it is technically available on the 3DS, Majora's Mask, even though it's a remake, but it is a fantastic game, and the quality of life improvements they did on the 3DS, like you can I guess like time travel to any specific hour of the day instead of just midday or just midnight, and then wait forever. And well, in the new 3D is using like the small thumbstick thingy to move the camera around. Yeah. And the other thing that I kind of liked was that you could pretty much save like at any time and didn't have to restart the cycle to just save the game. And that was a big one.
Yeah, it was a big help.
It was a big help. And in Café, I didn't want to redo that again.
I'm just going to warn everyone, my puppy's starting to wake up, so you might hear some barks. Oh, here it comes.
Oh, no.
We're almost there at the end. Sorry, listeners. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like, it's a little boring, but like honestly, Link Between Worlds is, as far as I'm concerned, the best one Nintendo put out. But I'll throw off because I actually played a lot of 3DS games, and I think that's basically because, you know, I didn't have any Nintendo systems at the time, so this was my Nintendo fix, right? I was like, yeah, let's get these in. The Super Smash Bros. Game for the 3DS was awesome. Like, playing that game without being able to access the other one, like now it's, and this is what's hard about the 3DS, is that a lot of it is kind of like moot now that you have the Switch, right? It's like
Mario Kart, yeah,
right. Why would you go and play Animal Crossing on the 3DS if you can play it on the Switch, or Mario Kart and you can play it on the Switch, or like, you know what I mean? Or I mean, even saying like Smash Bros, like when you have Ultimate, why go back and play that one?
Although, hot take, Mario Kart DS is the best Mario Kart they've ever made.
It was very fun. I will say, nothing beats Mario Kart 8 Deluxe multiplayer with friends. Like,
we can agree to disagree.
Yeah. Just that in the room sort of thing. Playing by yourself, oh, for sure, man. Load that Mario Kart DS up, have a good time, you know. But I think so. Like, okay, I'll put it this way: Link to the Between Worlds, that's the top for me. Pokemon X and Y, I loved that one because it appealed to my first game was Pokemon Red Brain, and it was like, here, have some Charizard, and I was like, yeah, right, okay, well, you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
And then some that I would say like don't sleep on would be like Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is really good, and I actually think this isn't a case where the new one like makes that one irrelevant. They're such different experiences that they're very worth playing both, and I really enjoyed that game a lot. And the other one that I would say would be Donkey Kong Country Returns, which unfortunately does kind of get replaced with the later entries, but I still think that is an excellent game to go and play. So anyway, that's kind of me. Yeah?
Oh, one more to throw in that I've just thought of. I haven't yet played this, so take it with a massive dose of salt. But my understanding is if you like Valkyria Chronicles or anything sort of turn-based RPG, people sleep on Project Steam, but my brother says it's excellent, and he's been bugging me like your friends bug you, Paula, probably about 2 years now to get around to playing it. The problem being I still have Valkyria Chronicles 1 sat on my shelf to get rid of. But anyway, I digress. Project Steam, you can get it fucking cheap as well. I've seen it on eBay going for like £1-2, and it seems like a lengthy sort of RPG thing. So I feel like you were about to agree with me, Paula.
I am in the process of finding the game. Because is it Codename Steam?
Yeah, s.t.e.a.m.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Whatever prefix that goes with.
Yeah, I've been like keeping an eye on it, and I think it's probably time to get it like sooner rather than later.
Yeah, while it's still cheap before all those copies disappear. As is always the way with any system. Like, there's the time when it's new. There's a beautiful twilight period post-new when you can get it, and everything associated with it super cheap. And then it just gets fucking expensive out of nowhere. So do it now. Do it now for sure. Especially while it's only cheap. There's like a Fire Emblem crossover as well, I think. You can play as two of the characters from Awakening.
Yeah.
Do we mind if we move along to our game? Sorry, I'm just like eyeing my puppy in the corner. She's like looking at me like, why aren't you taking me outside yet?
Oh no.
Love me. Play with me.
Right.
Let's bundle right along. So it's the game you've all been waiting for. Let's try it.
How long to beat the game?
The game, that's the one. There we go. I stopped early. Right. I don't know whose turn it is, but I will just pull a window up and randomize a game. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, what we're going to do is we're going to find a random game on the How Long to Beat database. We're going to turn on the modifier that hides the stats, and we're all going to try and guess the times of how long it would take to beat that game. If you guess 1 hour, if you guess one time rather, and get it within 1 hour, you get 1 point. 2 times within 2 hours of 3 points, and 3 times, all 3 times, within 5 hours of each other, and you get a stonking 5 points, which coincidentally is also the number of points by which Paula is lagging behind, and you're muted for me, Alex.
I'm purposely muted, don't worry.
Fair enough.
I got a puppy, so I will be muting on and off, don't worry.
Right, so 3, 2, 1. The game is Neon Chrome.
What?
Yeah, it's
What?
I've not played it, but I'm aware of this one. It's a top-down shooter. The devs made a few different ones. They made one called like Judge, that's like a Judge Dredd parody. There's another one that's like a From Russia with Love, sort of 70s Soviet era Russia anime style.
Are they like
This one is cyberpunk.
Are they like those dudes who make the like the bro shooter things, like Broforce? Yeah. Are they the same group? No. They're different. Okay. But it's a twin. They're twin stick shooters, though, right?
Yeah, it's top down twin stick.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Top down twin stick.
Christ, okay. I have no idea, but there's no way this game is super long.
No, probably not.
Yeah. Okay, well, I got no idea.
Right, so in theory, you are now seeing my screen. Now what I need to do is alt over to it, and then I can go.
All right, well, should we do the guess?
Please don't do the guess. Actually, I'm a little bit scared to do the guess, but
I'm gonna be like real cheese and go like 8, 9, 10. That's my guess. Although because what I'm wondering is like with twin stick shooters, they're rarely longer than like, I don't know, like 7, 8 hours in my experience. But this could be also one of those games that's like one of those 14-hour ones, or it has like 1,000 ways to complete it, and so suddenly the completion 100% is like crazy high. But I'm just not confident, so I'm going 8, 9, 10.
Okay, what about you, Paula?
I'm going for main 6 hours, for main plus 10.
Okay, and you're not doing 100%.
I am not complete on that one. I've learned my lesson, kind of, hopefully.
I need
Not-
that 5-hour grace, you know? I need it. I need it.
I am going to go for a very similar strat to you, Alex. So I'm going to say main 9 hours. No, main 8 hours. I'm going to say main plus 10 hours. And I'm going to say 100% 13 hours. I think there's a bit more of a spread to this one.
Yeah, you know what? Actually,
But that is purely hunch.
I'm going to push my completion to 12 just to feel safe.
Okay.
I don't feel 13, but I'm going to say 12. So
Interesting.
I'm just
Right
gonna
then.
leave it at that.
Now, you still see my screen, so let's go back and find out how long it actually takes to beat. So,
Ooh, drum roll.
I think we may have both pointed. I think we might have all pointed on the board actually. So main story 5.5. I think you may have missed out on this, Paula. Oh no, there's Paula's in on that. Main plus.
8 hours and a half.
So you're in on that, Paula, and completionist is 15, which me and Alex have both got.
Nice.
So that's 5 points for me and Alex, and 3 points for Paula,
which makes
who's off the mark. Let's have a round of applause for that.
Yeah.
Not condescending at all.
I think the standings now then is Rick and Alex at 10 points, Paula at 3.
Yeah. So the gap widened, but you're at least out of the box.
You're out of the box. Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
at the very least, I guess around half an hour each time.
Yeah, 100%. It was very touch and go there that you even got it, but you got it, which is the main thing. And we'll see what she gets next week. When you tune in, you best tune in for another episode of the How Long to Beat podcast. Stay safe until then.
Bye.
Bye.